So after absolutely nailing all of my predictions in the Champions League group stages, I actually got 13 out of the last 16 right, which isn't too shabby. Alonzo, it's now time to predict what's going to happen in the knockout rounds after a draw that seemed rigged with warm balls yet again. And we're gonna start with PSG versus Barcelona. Okay, forget the fact that these two clubs are facing each other for the third time in 5 years in the knockout rounds, because prior history doesn't always dictate future events. So if PSG are gonna win this, they need to do two things. Have their new Spanish manager take his years of experience managing against Barcelona when he was with Sevilla and use it to great effect over two legs. Hope that there's an international break before one or both of the games, because that's when Barcelona tends to struggle. Now, if Barcelona are going to win, they are also going to have to do two things. Be Barcelona, because they have more talent than PSG with some of the world's best players, and they need to play like it, because when they do, they are unstoppable. Ask Carlos Puyol if he wants to come out of retirement, because they still haven't found a leader in the back since he left that is always switched on and holds people accountable, which I think would cure some of their current defensive problems. So my prediction, with their rivals Real Madrid winning the Champions League last season and currently being ahead of them by 6 points in La Liga, I truly believe that Barcelona is going to put this competition on top of their list as the most important to win this season. And because of that mentality, I think they're going to get past PSG 4-2. And next up, Benfica versus Borussia Dortmund. After surprisingly winning their group over defending champion Real Madrid, Dortmund have the benefit of playing a team that finished in second place in their group, aka a weaker opponent. But as I have said many times before, you cannot sleep on Portuguese teams in European competitions. So if Benfica are going to win this, they're probably going to have to do these two things. Prepare to score on the counterattack, because after Dortmund scored more goals in the Champions League group stages than anyone else ever has, they scored 21 goals in 6 games, Benfica's team shape has to be sound. They need to remember last season when they almost beat Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. They only lost 1-0 in Germany, and then they drew 2-2 at home, which are really good results against one of the world's best clubs. Now, if Dortmund are going to win, they probably need to consider doing something like this. Get the ball to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He is in top form, scoring 19 goals in 17 games in all competitions with no signs of slowing down. Also, he is going to be super fresh coming out of that winter break in the Bundesliga. They need to visualize that they're not playing against Benfica, but Legia Warsaw, a team that they scored 14 goals against in the group stages. So my prediction is, well, as much as I enjoy watching Portuguese clubs frustrate the bigger teams in Europe, I just don't think they have the ability to keep up with Dortmund's talent over 180 minutes, and the black and yellow is going to go through 3-1. And next up is Real Madrid versus Napoli. Who cares if Madrid have won more Champions League trophies than anyone else, and that Napoli have 0 victories in their last 4 games against Spanish teams? Because Madrid actually have 2 really big problems, and they are as such. History, because no team has ever won the Champions League in back-to-back seasons, and focus. Since they haven't won La Liga in 8 years, I get the sense that this is their main objective this season. Unless, of course, they get to the final of the Champions League and they're like, all right, we're here, we might as well go ahead and win it. However, if Napoli are going to win this game, then they also need to do 2 things. They gotta hope that Eric Milik is back from his knee injury, because the 22-year-old was pretty good in replacing Gonzalo Higuain up top. On paper, Napoli should be able to compete. They got Hamsik, Insigne, Mertens, Callejón, and a solid defensive core. So if they can play to the height of their abilities up here maybe, I know they can win, but Madrid owns this competition and I don't see them bowing out in the round of 16. So my prediction is, it's gonna be tight, but Madrid is gonna get through 2-1. And now we have my favorite matchup, Bayern Munich versus Arsenal, which is summed up nicely by Bayern's Arjen Robben, who said, for them, the pressure is to make it to the quarterfinals for the first time in many years. For us, our target is the final. And for Bayern to make it to the final, here's what they have to do. They have to listen to their manager, Carlo Ancelotti, who has won more Champions League trophies as a manager than anyone else, and I believe he was brought in to do what Pep could not, and that's make them the best team in Europe again. If they can score an early goal in each leg, then that's gonna put the thought of, oh, here we go again, into the minds of the Arsenal players, which will only end up in good things for Bayern. And as for Arsenal, here are their 2 big things. They need belief, because this Bayern Munich team isn't as self-assured as their teams in the past, so the Gunners need to go right at them. They just need some luck Now, I'm not a believer in luck per se, because I believe that luck is where preparation meets opportunity, but in what could be Arsene Wenger's last season in charge, the dude just needs some good old-fashioned luck in the round of 16 for once. So my prediction is, Arsenal is going to do it! They're going to get past Super Bayern with a little luck, and Carlo Ancelotti's team will have to win it all next season instead. Up next, it's Manchester City versus Monaco. Fun fact for you, these two clubs have never played against each other before, but Monaco have played 16 games against English teams in their history and have only lost 4 times, which didn't include Spurs because they beat Spurs twice in this season's group stages. So if City want to do the business, here's what's up. They need to figure out their best 11 and best formation to have success in the next 60 days before leg 1 kicks off, because up to this point, their incredible talent is only matched by their incredible inconsistency. They need to relax. After making the semifinals last season, they hired Pep Guardiola to get them to the promised land, so expectations are high, as is the pressure. If they play with calm and composure, their talent's gonna win out and they'll win. However, if Monaco wants to win, here are the 2 secrets to their success. They gotta pray. Because if Stones, Otamendi, and Kolarov are still the starting back 3 after the January transfer window, they got a pretty good chance. They just gotta keep playing how they're playing, even though I know they can't keep up this current goal scoring form where they're averaging 3 goals a game in Ligue 1, but you never know, maybe this is just one of those magical seasons. So my prediction is, and this is based on the assumption that moves are gonna be made in the January transfer window, City's gonna get past Monaco in a very high-scoring affair, 5-4 over 2 legs. And now, wait, who do we have? Oh yeah, it's Bayer Leverkusen versus Atletico Madrid. I know there are shouts for manager Inho to take over for Diego Simeone in real life, since Atleti are struggling this season. They're in 5th place, which virtually assures that they're not gonna win La Liga this season, but they're not struggling as bad as Leverkusen, who are at 8th in the Bundesliga. So if Leverkusen want to follow the path of we suck in the league, but we're pretty good in Europe that Wolfsburg did last season, here's what they should do. They need to be organized, especially against the very organized Atleti, which doesn't always fit with manager Roger Schmidt's free-flowing and attack-minded philosophy, which could be a problem. Because Atleti are so difficult to break down in the run of play, scoring on set pieces could be the difference in whether they go through or go home, so they should probably practice those. For Atletico Madrid though, it's simple. Let these fools play right into your traps, because if you guys are known for anything, it's pushing the opposition into great areas to win the ball back and counter. Throw caution to the wind. Since you're 12 points back behind league leaders Real Madrid, your chances of winning the league, like I mentioned before, are nil. So refocus that energy on getting back to this Champions League final. So my prediction is, as much as I love how good Leverkusen look when they're bombing forward with reckless abandon, I can't go against my career mode club, Atletico Madrid, so they will be going through to the quarterfinals. And up next, it's Porto versus Juventus. Yes, it's easy to call this the derby of 2 of the best goalkeepers of all time, as Iker Casillas and Gigi Buffon go head to head, but it's more than that. No, I'm lying. It's not more than that, because what's better than seeing 2 legends battle it out for what is most likely the last time? So for Porto to win, they need to consider these 2 things. They have to see if Jackson Martinez will come back from China in the January transfer window, because they could use a grizzled veteran up top. Right now, their 2 starting strikers are both 21 or younger, and we all know that Juve's experienced defense will eat them up. They need to continue to remind themselves that they beat Roma in Rome 3-0 earlier this season, so that they can remember that it is possible to beat a top Italian club. As for Juve, it's easy. They need to get healthy. If they're at full strength, not only should they easily get past Porto, they should have the talent to get to the final. They need to avoid playing to the level of their competition. If they can control the tempo of the game and not get lulled into a sense of security or superiority, and just keep doing the simple things perfect every single time, then they're not going to run into any issues. So my prediction is, the great Iker Casillas unfortunately gives up 4 goals, while the great Gigi Buffon only gives up 2, and Juventus goes through. Sorry, Iker. And finally, it's Sevilla versus Leicester City. Honestly, I'm not sure what to make of it, mainly because now that Sevilla have gotten out of the group stage, they can't win their 4th consecutive Europa League title, and that makes me a little sad. So if Sevilla wants to continue this Champions League dream, here's what's what. They have to maintain their Champions League form, because despite the fact that they are currently 3rd in La Liga, they have given up a ton of goals in the league. However, in the Champions League, they only gave up 3 goals in 6 games, and all 3 of those goals came in 1 game, and it was against a pretty good team that you might have heard of, Juventus. They need to lean on their experience, because this club is well versed in playing in Europe and their opponents are not, and they need to take advantage. Now for Leicester, it's simple. They need to keep their head in the clouds, because this team is so much better when they're dreaming of success instead of being weighed down by expectations as we've seen this season after they miraculously won the league last year. They have to hope that Jamie Vardy is on fire, because when he is on, the whole team plays with a different kind of energy, like a real belief that they can beat anybody. So my prediction is, well, as much as I have the utmost respect for Sevilla, and even though my head thinks that they should win, my heart says that Leicester still has some magic in them, and they're gonna keep their European dream alive. All right, that is it. I am done talking, but let me know who you think is gonna go through, and then we can revisit this video once the round of 16 is over and just rejoice in how smart we all are. And that's always a lot of fun. I love talking about how smart I am, and that's great. And we can high five and fist bump and laugh and stuff, and anyway, whatever. I'll see you tomorrow. Later.